Let's see, how far back do you want to go? So I'm originally from Santiago, Chile, America, and I came here as a adolescent, um, a little bit of a crazy adolescent, may I say. Uh, and then I was only supposed to come here for 6 months, and here I am, still here. And I got my undergraduate at American University in psychology and philosophy. I really wanted philosophy, but my father was like, "Are you crazy? You'll never make money." Just like
Yeah.
so. Then I went and I got a master's in existential phenomenology, which I'm very proud of because I'm a fervent follower of Edmund Husserl, who is the one who taught Heidegger, and it all came down to Merleau-Ponty and Sartre, but he's the original. Anyways, with philosophy of science. Then I took a year off, and then I went and I pursued my PhD in developmental psychology, and I just became obsessed with the brain and how I needed to understand the brain. So then I did a postdoc here in Pitt, just walking down the street, because here in Pittsburgh is when the revolution of fMRI pretty much started. Um, and I became a developmental cognitive neuroscientist, and I've been faculty since '96. Now I'm an endowed chair. I have an awesome lab, and I often find myself like, really, I get paid to do this? What? Yeah, it's funny to look back, because I mean, seriously, it was a lot of luck. I remember being a PhD in this laboratory where I was studying the premature brain or whatever, and really not knowing what I was going to do next. And there, as you probably know, you're working late, blah blah blah, and we get a phone call because my mentor was moving, and somebody from another laboratory was calling because they were looking for RAs, and I'm like, dude, everyone's gone. I'm the only one here. Well, who are you? Oh, I'm a grad student. I'm gonna, I'll be defending soon. And he's like, well, you know what? I'm a postdoc, and I think my boss would be interested in talking to you. That's how I mean, really out of nowhere. And it was John Sweeney, who was still my mentor for life. And he was doing PET, and he was starting to move into MR. He's like, and he wasn't really into development, but he knew that that's where the question was going. So he's like, come work over here. So I did my postdoc there. And I always thought, like, I'm not like your regular scientist, because I was like punk rock and blah blah blah. My husband, in a punk rock band, although he's an artist, etc. And I was like, yeah, and I was really into what I was doing. And I remember telling him once, going, I don't really know how to play the game. I this thing about ambition. And he turns around to me and he goes, I've never met someone as ambitious as you. And I'm like, what? What? And I think what he means is that I get obsessed, and like nothing will stop me. I think smarter people than me would have stopped and been discouraged, but I'm not as smart as they are. So I just continue. Not only that, I mean, people, especially when people tell me, nah, that's too hard. You're never going to be able to do that. I'm like, watch me. That's when I really want to do it. And I think there's a recurring theme. I'm driven by the question. And I really, I go for questions that I think, you know what, we're at the level where we can answer this. And I became totally enthralled. And while I'm doing that, it's like, yay, now we can go for the next question. There were hardships throughout the way. I had my kids as a grad student. So that was interesting. I mean, obviously, that's the only experience I've known. So now I actually encourage people. I'm like, a lot of people are like, no, I want to wait till I have a tenure track position or I get tenure. Needless to say, as you can tell from me, I never planned anything. I was like, oh, I've got kids. Okay, what are we going to do? And it's that juggling of feeling guilty that I'm not with my kids, and then guilty that I'm not obsessing over my science. And it all turns out fine. And I'm really tight with my kids. And you suffer because you go to conferences like, oh my God, I'm leaving my kids. And you know what? They're fine. And they're still super tight with you because you're there for them. It's the quality. So that was a hardship. And then, there have been like some disappointments sometimes in the science world, which, you're young and I think this is like art. We're not business people. We're so much better. And there were some contentions that could have been discouraging, where I was, oh my God, really? And feeling a little bit disheartened and heartbroken, and seeing some things that I'd rather not get into the details, and thinking, holy cow, like my innocence was broken, and that's when you know, you can choose two paths: be that way or really be the other way. So, I mean, I make my lab be a lab that's like happy, hardworking, passionate, but we do it all in the correct way, is the way I like to look at it. And really interested in the questions that we have. I have this motherly aspect of me, and I'm very protective of my kids, of my students, and so forth. So I I try to find ways for them not to get to the level of stress where they can't move. I'm always like, hey, we'll make it work. I was talking to one student, and I could start to tell that the stress was coming because there were all these things that he wanted to do, and I'm like, you know what? Let's think about timeline. Here, look, here's a calendar. Okay, you want to do all this stuff. Let's think about it. You're going to go to OHBM. That's going to take a big bite. Then you're going to go to Thailand because it's there and it's fine. I get it. Do it. I've never said no to when they need to take time off, because I think they're all very reasonable and it makes sense. Um, and I'm like, look, this is what you can do. And why don't we say, let's see if you can get this aspect of things by this time point, and then we can see what's it. So, I allowed them to do time management. Me, um, it can be harder. I'm married to an artist, and there are times when I come home and I'm like, and he just puts a plate. Well, no, a martini and then a plate of food, and I'm like, But that is happening less and less. Um, yeah, I mean, I have my friends. I don't go out into all hours like I used to. That I recommend. I think it's a great idea. Now I'm older. And I sound like one of those like typical things. I like to hang out with my husband. I like to read books. I like to garden, ride my bike, have a drink when I get home from work, things like that.